Well, good day and welcome to SOP, Save Our Planet. My name is Gary Willing, and I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you happen to be. Now, am going to try to answer a question or two in this video if I have the time. I'm going to at least answer one, and if not, I'll post another video and answer the other question or two. But if you have a question you want to ask me, feel free to post your question in the comment section. Email me, search for signs@mail.com, and then I'll try to answer it in the next video or the video after that. I used to always answer these questions in one video, but these videos are just getting way too long. So I'm going to break these videos up into smaller videos for you guys to make them a little easier to listen to. So it might not be the next video, but it might be the video after that, or maybe even the following video. But I'll get around to answering your questions, I promise. If you want to just let me know what you think, post a comment. But in the meantime, if you have a question you want to try to answer for yourself, or if you want to see if this information is true for you, check out the information on the Share International site. Link is at the very top of the description portion of this video. All right, is Obama the Maitreya? He favors him. Well, I guess he does kind of. I've heard that one before, but the image of Maitreya that is in the background of these videos is not necessarily how he looks. This is just how he looked at the time that he appeared out of the blue in Nairobi, Kenya in June of 1988. So the times that I've seen him, he never looked like that. He looked totally different than this. I recognized him by his joy, by his love, and definitely by the way his eyes look. They say the windows are the eyes to the soul, and I was able to recognize him that way too. But he also said something to me that I was probably thinking about recently, you know what I mean? And when he said it, he was kind of answering a question maybe that I was asking myself that I didn't bring up to anybody else, or something that I had said or something like that. And that what made it easier for me to recognize him. Okay, now I'm going to give you a couple guidelines or maybe guardrails to kind of use to help you keep from not, thinking that Maitreya is somebody and they're not somebody, okay? But Maitreya is not a title. So when people refer to him as the Maitreya, that's not correct. It's not blasphemous to call him the Maitreya. It's about the same as when I call my dog Jojo the Joe, you know what I mean? But that's just his name, Maitreya. It means the happy one. And that was the other way that I recognized him too, is his joy is just amazing. You just don't run into people on a day-to-day basis like this, with this kind of joy. And here's something to remember too. Joy, just like fear, are infectious. You infect people with fear when you're afraid, and you speak fear. You infect people with joy in the exact same way. And Maitreya, just like any one of these other masters, can speak about a life or death situation that humanity has put itself in, like the environment, like the need for peace, and speak about something that is deeply concerning to not only them, but the future of the human race, and yet speak about it with joy and absolutely no fear, because they have no fear. So that would be one indication. Are they speaking with fear? He will never speak with fear, no matter how serious the situation is. Okay? It will be nothing but joy coming out of him. Now, it doesn't mean that, he's going to be laughing about the problem. It means that he will be speaking about it very, with seriousness and concern, but with no fear. And with complete faith that humanity will get through the problem, because we have gotten through these problems before. Okay? So that might be one indication, which Obama doesn't fit that bill. Okay? The other thing is, he will never align himself with a country, a political party, a group, a racial group, or whatever. So a president has to align himself with a particular party, right? Obama was a Democrat. He was an American, so he was aligned more with American views. Maitreya will not align himself with anything like that. He'll be able to speak to Republicans just as well as he can speak to Democrats, people on the left as he can speak to people on the right, people from the United States, and he can go to the Middle East and speak to people in the Middle East. If he's trying to negotiate a peace deal between Israel and Palestine, he'll be able to speak to the Israelis just as well as he can speak to the Palestinians, and speak to them with truth, with love, and loving them in that way. And the best example of that historically would be when Jesus brought the two disciples together, Matthew and Peter, who hated each other prior to Jesus. And he was able to do that and bring them in together in that way and see themselves as brothers and heal that divide that they had. And he'll be able to heal the divides that humanity has created for itself for really no reason, because we're one. He knows the truth that we're one. So that would be another one. And then the big piece that you guys have to try to remember is Maitreya will never, ever, ever indicate, insinuate, hint about, or come out and say that he is Maitreya until the day of declaration. So anybody that uses the name Maitreya, uses the name the Christ, thinks of themselves as the Imam Mahdi or whatever, and speaks about it in that way will never be Maitreya. Maitreya is just being introduced as an ordinary person. He's speaking to us as just an ordinary person would speak to you. He wants you to understand and think about what he's saying honestly. That's why he's doing that. So, and like I said, that is the biggest piece of it. Until the day of declaration. And here's what I can kind of paint a little bit of an image of what the day of declaration will look like based on what Benjamin Crumb said. But on the day of declaration, or prior to the day of declaration, Maitreya's influence with humanity and his galvanizing effect of humanity will be very, very strong. He's not going to be an unknown figure at this time. People will be gathering around him, still seeking his advice, looking to him like, who is this man? Some will suspect that he is Maitreya. Others will think that he's the Imam Mahdi. It just depends on their background. Other people like myself will know that for sure that's got to be Maitreya. You know what I mean? And it's important for us not to say that that's Maitreya. Maitreya doesn't want us talking about him in that way. He wants us just to see him as a teacher. Okay? Now, there will be this tremendous interest in who he is and what he's saying. Perhaps some of the things will start to be manifesting in terms of the principle of sharing, but I don't think the principle of sharing will really be manifested at this point. But we'll be talking about it because of Maitreya. You know, it'd be like I said, tremendous interest in what he's saying. And then we will demand, and this is the way he put it, we will demand from our media, the legacy media, him an opportunity to speak to all of us at one time. So they apparently will not want to let him speak. They're corrupt. They have corporate interests at heart and not the humanity's interest, best interest at heart. We will demand from them him an opportunity to speak to us. There will be this press conference, just like any other press conference would be for, let's say, the President of the United States. But at this time, the majority of offices and governments will be shut down and people will stop working in that way to listen to what he has to say. It will be really like a day when the earth stood still. And he'll speak to us. He'll come on the stage and he'll speak. But here's the thing. He will not speak to us using his voice. He will overshadow all of humanity at this time. Everyone over the age of 14 will hear what he has to say inwardly in our own head, in our own language that's familiar to us. And he'll speak to us for, several minutes, like I think Ben said about 20 to 25 minutes maybe. And he'll show us where we came from, how we lived much a more spiritual life than we are living today. And he'll show us maybe with images through the overshadowing or just speaking it with words, how far we've fallen into this material morass of like this cesspool that we live in that we call life on planet Earth, where nobody trusts one another. Everyone's competing against one another. Everyone's out to get something from somebody else. And how we can't live like this anymore, or we'll destroy ourselves. And then he'll show us if we just try the principle of sharing and we start seeing the benefits of that, what it will lead to and what the future that it will give us. He'll show us a little bit about our future, and then he'll show us what will happen if we don't. And we'll see our only planetary home die and feel it just as the masters feel it, because they can see these different futures in that way. And then he'll say, we have a choice to make. What do we do? And at that time, and Maitreya said it himself, It will be as if he embraces all of humanity at the same time. We'll feel his love even physically. And our hearts will all open up and we'll go, oh, yes, we got to try the principle of sharing. That's the only way. We'll see it. We'll know for sure. And there'll be people who we never thought would go along with the principle of sharing. Be like, yes, we need to do this because of this experience on this day. He will, of course, at that day mention that he is looked to as the Christ, as the Imam Mahdi. People are looking for him as the Bodhisattva or the Kalki avatar or whatever, background, religious background, the Messiah. But he'll say, just look to me as a teacher. He's just a teacher. But yes, that's my name, Maitreya. That's when he will say that. We'll all know it at the same time. We don't have to guess. And then there will be millions upon millions of spontaneous cures all over the world. People suffered from incurable diseases, afflictions, maybe birth defects will just all of a sudden be cured. And then we'll know at that day, and that person, we'll know that one and that man is Maitreya. And anybody else that said that they were Maitreya up to that point is not him. You know what I mean? And then there will be a time after the day of declaration when maybe a few days when nobody says really hardly anything to anybody. We'll all know what we just went through. And the earth will be kind of, business as usual will be gone because something like we'd never expected to happen happened. And we'll see each other as one family. And it will really shake humanity up. And then Maitreya will say, now we got to get to work. Now we got to change this planet. Now we got to cure the environment. Now we got to cure hunger. And it will be a transformation that will happen so fast, we don't even realize exactly how fast it will be. It will just be incredible how fast it will happen. We will end hunger within days of the day of declaration. There will be no more hunger on this planet. And then the joy that will emanate from all of us just from that one experience of knowing that nobody went hungry in a world of plenty. The start of true justice in the world. We can't imagine. Nations will come together. What do we do to solve the problems of the world? We got to start the principle of sharing. We got to do this. We will keep hold their feet to the fire and keep them moving in this way. All because of the day of declaration. All because of the fact that on that day, humanity saw itself as it really was, as one family. Like we've never seen before. Because of who and what Maitreya is. How he'll open the hearts of all of humanity. Does that sound like Obama? No. I love you guys. Thank you very much for the question. It was a wonderful question to try to answer. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.